So today we're going to talk about getting more hugs, kisses, sex, and affection.
I'm gonna tell you about a woman whose heart is sunshine, whose body burned hot. I'm gonna tell you about a woman who's cold as tundra, with some frozen eyes. I can tell by the way she moves that she cares.
Yeah, I can see it. Haircut? No, it's just not a haircut, Patrick. I still haven't been able to get to my barber yet, so I figured, why fucking try to spike it today when it's fuck it day. That's what it is, Patrick. Good to see you, brother. Hey, Dan, Patrick's calling in from New Zealand. He has every day the past 2 weeks. It's 5 a.m. there. Yeah, no fucks to give. That's right, Dennis.
5 a.m.
So what is it there for you, Dan? Is it 6?
Yeah, 6, just about 3.
Dan's in the UK, Patrick. And Kent on here is from my home state of Minnesota. We were talking about deep fried Twinkies the other day. Dan's like, what the hell is a deep fried Twinkie? I have no idea what you're talking about.
I know what a Twinkie is. I've never eaten one, but I know what it is.
Yeah, you're not missing out. Don't do it. When the apocalypse comes, there'll be plenty around. So yeah, Dennis knows it. Dennis has a whole storage down in his, what's the room? Your cross room? What's that called? The dungeon? Come on, Dennis.
The playroom.
I'm
dungeon
sorry.
Has negative connotation.
Not the dungeon, the playroom. My bad. Yeah,
There's a cross in it.
Right. You don't call it the dungeon until they're in it. And then you call
Once they're secured to the cross, then it's all good.
Yeah. Paul Jennings, 3 a.m. Melbourne time. Hell yeah, brother. Bring it on. So when I was in Egypt, our guide said that we can't eat any local food, that we have to eat deep fried food because it kills all the bacteria. And basically you're just like playing Russian roulette with getting food poisoning. And so we ate at KFC and just, fried chicken. So the state fair isn't, it's going to kill all that other stuff and it's, good to go. So welcome to Great Men Move Mountains, my company, and Good Guys to Great Men. I'm an affiliate professional coach with Steve Horstman, Dan Dorr, and the other professional coaches around the world. We've got Dennis, Mark, Tatesy, Niels in Sweden, Tatesy's in Copenhagen still, right? And Mark's in Australia. And we've got men from all around the world, which is phenomenal. We've got Patrick from New Zealand. Patrick, I have men from the UK that are here. Andy is here. He's from Spain. And my co-host today is Miss Cynthia Cruz. And I'm actually going to, look at that, make her co-host. Now she has the power to mute y'all too. So Cynthia and I are professional coaches. We met about 4 years ago when we started our private practice. We had each left adjacent school systems, working with kids with emotional disabilities, families, all the most difficult situations in schools. And we started our own private practice and haven't looked back. I've been working with Steve since 2015 personally. And then 2016, I did a lot of volunteer work and then shoulder to shoulder with him in six retreats. But Dan, so give us 2 minutes on what do you have going on in the UK? I'd love to hear you update us about the London retreat.
Okay, so UK-wise, I'm running the kind of UK and European branch of Good Guys to Great Men. And so we had a retreat which was planned for last weekend, but that got cancelled because of the pandemic. So other than that, everything is online most of the time with Steve and you guys. So UK-wise, the focus is we are trying to build like a brotherhood in the UK of people that can meet up face-to-face. And so we do have calls every now and again. Every few weeks, there'll be a few guys on here maybe that have been to some of those calls. Yeah, just trying to set up something locally like you guys have in Fort Collins, where you have something running where you get to meet up face to face. So that's kind of it, what we're running really. But most of the stuff we do is all through Good Guys to Great Men. I think face to face stuff is so important. So I don't know whether you guys have any of that in your life, but if you don't, if you can arrange it in some way or another, it makes such a big difference. We want to create more events, more retreats and stuff around the world, run by whoever. It'll be Steve and myself mostly, but these guys that are coaching with us will be starting to do their own. Jeff and Dennis did one earlier this year. So anything you can do to meet up face to face, it just pushes you out your comfort zone a little bit, and you make amazing connections. The people that I've been on retreats with are still in connection with all of them.
Yeah, absolutely. So Dennis and I ran a retreat in March, and we will every year now in Phoenix, Arizona. We do men's work and activities and camaraderie and get together half of the time. And the other half of the time, we did advanced pistol defense training. And I had 3 shots from holster with a clean draw under 2 seconds. I'm going to brag about that forever. That's fucking awesome. and I'd love to. I plan on coming to London as soon as everything opens up again. I want to plan that, and so 2021, I would love to do that as soon as soon as I can. I'm going to bring Cynthia Cruz along, so that's a good segue. So Cynthia Cruz is my fiance as well. She and I work with men, and we have worked with families in the past, and now it's over 95% men. So I still have young boys that I work with locally around emotional disabilities and how they relate in parenting. So I work with a lot of guys around parenting as well. We come here because, like Steve says, we experienced death by female, or we're in the threat of death by female right now. Cynthia, being my fiance, we met in our late 30s, about 4 years ago. And she and I are really vulnerable with talking about this. We're coaches. We're not therapists who don't share anything. We're coaches. And coaches look at what's happened in the past, take that understanding and plan how to move forward from here, how to get what you want in the world, guys. Right? So maybe you're separated but in the same house and forced to be, quarantined together. That's really tough. I've got a story of a man like that we'll talk about today. Or maybe you're trying to connect with a woman and you're not able to get together with her, or you were hoping to start dating again, and right now, everything's our hands are thrown up at the moment, and we're doing like coffee dates, drive through Starbucks and park and do a coffee date while you're looking at each other through the window, and you're talking on the phone, looking at. I mean, there's crazy ideas that are out there, yeah. Or Dennis Collins gave some great ideas about an in-home date, how you can go stage to stage while you're in quarantine now. So those are just a brief overview of why we're here. Like, how can I get more affection, more sex, more kisses, and more hugs with the current situation, regardless of what's going on? And how do I know what I want as a man? That's a huge thing. And I will be sharing some links later on. This is a 90-minute call. I want to share some links about 1 hour in and then at the end. I'm not trying to sell anything today, guys. This is completely for you. And and also this is for me to work out my own shit. No, it's also definitely helpful for me to stay fresh, right? One thing about any growth that we're trying to do in the world is ultimately we need to be helping the man next to us. We need to be helping the man that stumbled beside us stand up. We need to help each other climb over that next wall, over that next hurdle, through the swamp. All right. My company is Great Men Move Mountains, and I say, move a mountain in the world. Move a mountain with your buddy, with your friend, with your whoever you can reach out to that you trust. And if you don't have anyone in your own personal life, or you're like, fuck, I don't want to take this to my family, my friends don't want to hear this, or I'm embarrassed about it, that's why we're here. That's why we're here. And today, my big announcement with Miss Cynthia Cruz, she and I recorded a free audiobook fresh off the presses, and I'm not going to bullshit you guys. I literally finished it in the middle of the night last night because I just wanted to put so much effort into it, right? It's like phenomenal. It's definitely different. It's definitely different. So I'm excited for that. I'm going to give you a link at the hour mark and a link at the very end to go to a particular page on my website, which is greatmenmovemountains.com. And then I'm going to tell you what the extension is, right, at an hour in. How's that for a tease? There's the dick tease for you. Boom. All right, so I want to start us off. This clip is incredibly pertinent. It's about 4 minutes long. It's Chevy Chase, and I didn't look up the actress's name from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Or not Chevy Chase. Sorry, Chevy Chase is from the C Note show. Look at Kent. Kent's like, oh no, I want Chevy Chase. So Cynthia and I run the C Note show every day at 11 a.m. Mountain, and ask me about that another time if you like. That's a live call-in show, and I've done Chevy Chase all this week. What I meant to say is Charlie Sheen. It's another C. So we've got Charlie Sheen in the where is he? The police station with Ferris Bueller's sister, and I want you to see how she starts off. Okay, look at her attitude. Look at her energy. A buddy of mine, his name is Rob. He's local here, and he showed me this clip probably about a year ago now. We talked about it in our local men's group. So I want to show this right now. It's about 4 minutes long, and it's going to segue us beautifully into what we're talking about today. How to get more hugs, kisses, affection, and sex. Here we go.
Drugs?
Thank you. No, I'm straight.
I meant, are you in here for drugs?
Why are you here?
Drugs.
I don't know why I'm here.
Why don't you go home?
Why don't you put your thumb up your butt?
You wear too much eye makeup. My sister wears too much. People think she's a whore. You don't want to talk about your problem?
With you, are you serious?
I'm serious.
Blow yourself. All right. You want to know what's wrong?
I know what's wrong. Just want to hear you say it.
In a nutshell, I hate my brother. How's that?
That's cool. Did you blow him away or something?
No, not yet. See, I went home to confirm that the shithead was ditching school, and when I was there, a guy broke into the house. I called the cops, and they picked me up for making a phony phone call.
What do you care if your brother ditches school?
Why should he get to ditch when everybody else has to go?
You could ditch.
Yeah, I'd get caught.
I see. So you're pissed off because he ditches and doesn't get caught, is that it?
Basically.
Basically. And your problem is you.
Excuse me?
Excuse you. You ought to spend a little more time dealing with yourself, a little less time worrying about what your brother does. That's just an opinion.
What are you, a psychiatrist?
No.
Why don't you keep your opinions to yourself?
Somebody you should talk to.
If you say Ferris Bueller, you lose a testicle.
Oh, you know him.
To me. I mean, first of all, I don't know why she wasn't in school. And second of all, I just can't believe she came to you with a story about an intruder.
Well, for whatever reason she did it, I think she's had a pretty good scare.
Well, I really appreciate your calling me, really. I can assure you that her father and I are going to have a long talk with her when we get home. Thank you so much.
Oh, by the way, I hope your son is feeling better.
I beg your pardon?
Tell him all the guys at the station here are pulling for him,
Oh, right.
Hi.
Don't hi me, young lady. I want to get out of here now, all right?
Okay.
No, now. Let's get out of here.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Yes.
Now.
Fine.
Okay.
She's a little hyper. Let's not ruin this with a lot of talk, all right? Okay.
You didn't tell me your name.
Oh, well, it's Jean, but a lot of guys call me Shauna.
Okay, Gene.
That's great. I'll see you, okay? Yeah.
Shauna, oh Jeannie, Shauna. So you guys saw them making out when they were in the like captain's office. I'm hoping, right? So she went from what? She went from giving him a hell of a time, just firing confidence test after confidence test, right? Passed them beautifully. How did he do that? He basically ignored what she was saying, but didn't collapse, and he didn't get upset, right? He rolled with it. He told her his opinion. He wasn't shy. He didn't have any fear of how she was going to judge him. Of course, he's not in a relationship with her. He doesn't have children with her. He doesn't have a life with her right now. So, well, that's fucking easy for Charlie Sheen in a movie to do that. Well, yes. And have you ever even tried something like that with your wife? Have you tried standing up for yourself in a confident way? Have you tried standing up for your boundaries? Do you even know what your boundaries are? So here we're here to talk about the staircase of intimacy. I'm going to show tools about that today. Yeah, Ken says, "Amen. Live unapologetically." Awesome. And it's hard for someone to respect you when you're kissing their ass. A great Ferris quote. That's a really good one. Absolutely. So that's a beautiful segue. I'm going to have Miss Cynthia Cruz come on here in a second and give her opinion on what I'm about to say. Something that I've heard and I preach and I teach in my one-on-one coaching with men is that she must respect you in order to be attracted to you. And to be in love with you, she must be attracted. So for her to feel respect for you and be attracted to you and want to have sex with you and more, give you more kisses and hugs and affection, she must start with respecting you. And if you don't respect yourself, if you don't know what you stand for when the chips are down, right? If you don't know what you stand for when the shit hits the fan, how could she possibly respect you if you don't respect yourself? And that's where this starts. Right, I'm going to go ahead and share some of these tools here in a second. But Cynthia, I'd love for you to unmute yourself, say hi to the gentleman, and give us feedback on what I just said, that a man needs to understand and respect himself so that that's the precursor, that's the ground floor entry level cost of entry for her respecting him that leads to attraction, which has the possibility of being in love and to have more physical connection with her. What's your thoughts on that?
Sure. Well, thank you for inviting me in. I've been kind of sitting back in awe at the brotherhood in front of me and how that feels. It's a really, really powerful energy that kind of makes me breathe deep just to feel how much strength there is here. So yeah, that I love what you said, Jeff, about when a man respects himself, how a woman feels that in her core. And I guess what I will say is when a man doesn't respect himself and doesn't hold true to who he is and doesn't set boundaries with heart, he feels kind of watery. It's not a presence you can really push against. And women are pretty intuitive, even if they're not aware. And so if a man's carrying feelings of guilt and self-deprecation, she's going to feel that on some level. And it's going to make her feel that you are actually uncertain of her, and she's going to feel uncertain in the relationship. And that's going to be just a really heavy, uncomfortable, unattractive feeling to her.
And she won't often be able to name that heaviness, Cynthia. So I want to ask you about something that we'll reference today is what I call the watermark, and it's her watermark of anxiety in her life. And women generally, stereotypically, are not as good at compartmentalizing as a man. I like to think that we're equal, but we're different, or we're equal, but we're not the same. Equal, but not the same. We're complementary. And her watermark of anxiety may be from work or kids or what's going on in the world, or she's seeing news, and it may not have anything to do with you necessarily. Okay, but it's hard for her to differentiate that. So give us some feedback on a woman's, let's say, watermark of anxiety and how that affects the heaviness within her.
Sure, and I will say on the opposite side of that, just when a man is respecting himself and standing true to himself, it's a very light energy. It's a warm energy. It's like being in spring sunshine. And I thank you for even talking about the watermark. It makes me have such gratitude and compassion for the experience. Um, I really respect in men how they do have maybe a more developed ability to take elements of their life, and if there's stress in family or stress in work or stress in self, they might all come together. But I've noticed there's a great awareness there of like, this stress goes on this shelf and this stress goes in this box and this stress goes in that box. I experienced the watermark that Jeff is talking about, that I've tried to pour the stress into each box, but my stress is like water. And we know that cardboard doesn't hold water very well, maybe for a little bit, but eventually the water will always win. And then you've just got this wash of this just build up inside yourself that it's so hard to be logical and linear in those moments, and it's so hard to speak clearly of what's going on. And even I, as someone who really practices her work and really wants to be a grounded feminine presence, I still struggle when that gets up to here.
Yeah, feminine presence. That's such a buzzword sometimes, right? And guys, we're wondering what that means. And that's a huge reason why I brought Cynthia and invited Cynthia on to be on our show. So she can model that for you. So she can model an unattached, unbiased feminine perspective. So I will be asking you to raise your hand within the Zoom participants section. You go participants and do the raise your hand function, and we'll do our best to call on you there. If you have a question, I'd like you to please have a question, right? This isn't telling your whole story. So you can give 30 seconds of backstory and then a question would be fantastic. And same thing in the chat. If you post a question in there, we will do our best to get to it. There's other coaches in here as well. I'm sure they're happy to bounce it off you, bounce it off of everyone in here. And Steve Horseman's in here. Tim Wade's is in here. All the other coaches, I believe, that I've seen. Hey, there's Aaron. Good to see you, Aaron. Let's see who else has come in that I immediately recognize their name. I'll do my best to call some people out. Oh, I see Jason's come in here too. And yeah, I was mentioning that Patrick is here from New Zealand, and it's almost 5:30 in the morning for him. And I'm just blown away by how we have men from all around the world. Tatesy, awesome. Good to see. Tatesy is a beast, man. If you guys have the opportunity to meet him, he's like whatever 27th degree black belt, like 6'3", 4, 5. I don't know. He's really tall. I'm like 5'10". And when I met him in Copenhagen. When he walks through a room, he's a police officer. He's a police supervisor now, and people just part the way for him. Tatesy's coming through, and he's one of the most hilarious men I've ever met. Seriously, a phenomenal dude. Super cool. Yeah. Todd's here as well. Winfield, Frank, Paul, good to see you guys. Phenomenal. All right, I want to share the screen and talk about some tools. And then I have questions from our forum and questions that have been asked in our one-on-one coaching. Okay, so I love this from Steve. I totally stole this from him. We don't want it to be easy. We want to be effective. It doesn't help to wish that relationship was easy or that she was easier or yada, yada, victim mentality, right? We want to understand and know how to be effective. You have to believe that you can change the feelings that she has for you, and you're becoming a new man. She's reacting this way to the old patterns that you had in the past, all right? So you're here to rapidly learn how to have the skills and the mindsets so you can be that version 2.0 of yourself. We're going to talk about practicing the dance up and down the stairs of intimacy here. And, you don't want to be that butthurt little boy that sits down on the bottom step and complains or whines that mommy isn't giving him enough attention. That's definitely not going to help. She doesn't want another child. She wants you to be a mature, confident, grounded, masculine man. We'll talk about that more today. And you're definitely not trying to go from step 1 or 3 to step 10 to get, penis and vagina, because that's not going to work out well. We want to dance up the stairs. So our boundaries, we talked about respect, attraction, and love, and we mean in love. And so I want to present the 3 types of confidence here, guys. There's 3 different types of confidence. There's behavioral, there's emotional, and there's spiritual. And I want you to ask yourself, Charlie Sheen in that video that we just saw when he's in the police station there, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, that movie. How much behavioral confidence does he have? Those are the skill sets of what to do, how to be, what to say. Okay? And how much emotional confidence does he have? And what kind of spiritual confidence? Who he believes that he is? How does he feel about himself, his mission in life, his purpose in this exact moment? Maybe he doesn't know his mission 10 years from now, but he knows his mission right now is to be fucking badass with this hot girl that's sitting next to him, right? That's his mission right this moment. Maybe his mission in 10 days from now is going to be different, and his frame about 10 months or 10 years from now will be different. But he understands who he is, and that's spiritual confidence. I want you to think right now, how much spiritual confidence do I have? Do I know what my life is about and who I am? How much behavioral confidence? Do I know what to do, what to say? Do I understand my nice guy tendencies and what that means? You know, great book, of course, No More Mr. Nice Guy by Dr. Robert Glover, phenomenal book. And my emotional confidence. My biggest problem in the past, guys, and I'll share vulnerably here, that I went through a divorce. That sounds like that happened to me, right? So I got divorced. I chose to act the way that I did in the past. And I actually chose not to get together back again with my ex. That's something that she wanted about 8 or 9 months after we split and were divorced. And so during that time, I didn't have behavioral confidence. I did a lot of nice guy things. You know, I share this with Cynthia too, and I share this on the C Note show that she and I run, which is I made all the mistakes. You know, I cried and I was blubbery, and I'll have Cynthia share from her past as well. She'll share here in a bit, vulnerably too, that I made all those nice guy mistakes. You know, I felt like I was in free fall, like the rug was completely torn out from underneath me, and I had made her my whole life, right? I didn't have friends. She was my best friend, basically. And all through my 20s, I just worked my ass off. I had a child when I was 25, and my son was 11 when we got divorced and split up in 2015. He's 16 now, and we have a phenomenal relationship, my son and I. And co-parenting is going fairly well. Fairly well for her saying, I'm not interested in co-parenting with you. I'm going to do whatever I want, Jeff. Yeah, that's what I began with in 2015. I see Tim smiling and nodding at that one. Yeah, and by the way, Tim is an amazing man. Tim is a professional coach as well, and I love that he's at my side, and I can take any really difficult or gut-wrenching things to Tim, and he's going to hold that space for me, and he's going to keep it real and show me the path forward. So I love that I have men here that are by my side. I have men in my community that I help lead, and I have mentors above me like Steve and Dan to show me the way, not only heart, but also business. It's about heart and business, heart and business. It's like left foot, right foot, heart and business. I love it. So I'm kind of getting a little bit mushy, but yeah, so I mean, I've made these mistakes, guys. This is why I was here. In 2015, I met Steve at, with 6 people in a local little pub, and we were in a tiny 12 by 12 room, basically squeezed 6 of us in there. Maybe it was 10 by 10. And I just had so much anger. So my emotional confidence was not strong. My spiritual confidence was definitely in the shitter. And behaviorally, I was acting like a jackass half the time. I was just in free fall. And I said, yeah, I'm like so angry and I have so much resentment. And I know that my body language is just terrible. And my face probably looks just horrible. And Steve, this is like the second meeting. Tim maybe can jump in here and remind me. He might be able to tell us a little bit better than me, because I was so pissed. It's like the second meeting, and Steve looks at me and says, well, show me the face. Show me the face that you do. Show me the face that you do with her. Right? Oh my God, he's actually okay. Like I'm in fucking hell as it is. And I think Theodore Roosevelt said, when you're traveling through hell, keep going. Right? Keep going. So I figure, all right, I respect this man. He seems to know what he's talking about. Let's show him the face. I don't want to do the face because, yeah, okay, I'll do the face. So the way I teach this is I put my finger on my forehead, not the little red mark I have there, which is that's my love kiss right now. I put my finger on my forehead and I just scrunch as hard as I can my forehead like this. And this is my confused, what the fuck are you talking about? How did you not follow through on what you said you were going to do? We've talked about this 4 times already and you didn't do it. Like you said for 3 days that you were going to get groceries and you didn't get groceries. What's going on with that? Okay, this is my like, what the fuck you, how could you not follow through? Face. Face, right? Okay, so let's move on from that. I don't like doing that face. And Steve just looked at me and said, yeah, you kind of look like a giant asshole when you make that face. Fuck. I just like felt flush again back in that moment. And finally someone fucking called me out. Finally, I had another man who I respected, an elder, if you will, or someone that was, shoulder to shoulder with me, wiser than me, at least one or two steps farther than me on the path, tell me, yeah, dude, you look like a fucking asshole when you make that like resentful victim, I'm nice guy now and my covert contracts haven't been fulfilled and I'm gonna throw a little tantrum, the face. Oh, I hate doing that now. Oh my gosh. So yeah, that's where I came from, guys. That's where I came from. I got coaching from Steve. I went to his retreat up in his ranch the next summer. I read every book for 9 months that I could get my hands on. And because I'm talking so damn much, I would love for Tim to jump in and give his feedback of that time in life. And Tim and I had a lot of, we were in meetings together and we had a lot of kind of back and forth together. So Tim, allow me to take a drink of water and shut the hell up here and jump in, please. Let me unmute you if I can do that for you. There we go. Go for it, Tim.
Thanks. Hi. Yes. Well, you told the story pretty accurately as I remember it. Yes, that night was very interesting, and it was I think the first night I had gone as well. I think we were, and yes, you did the face, and everyone kind of moved back when you did it. It was intense.
Yeah.
And I remember after that, I went up and I talked to Steve. I introduced myself, and he looked at me and he goes, I don't think that guy Jeff's ever coming back. And I was like, I don't know if I'm coming back because it was intense, but it was amazing because you absolutely did, and so did I. And little by little, as we sat there first there, and then at Old Chicago, and month after month, we both absorbed a lot during that time,
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Thanks, Tim. I appreciate it. And I'd love, Tim, if you'd love to raise your hand and come in and share, I went ahead and muted you, and I'll jump back to the tools here in a second. So any of you coaches that want to jump in, or y'all, if you have a 30-second story and a question for us, raise your hand in the participant section. Post a question in the chat. I have some quick stories of men that have been on our C-Note calls for the past, we've run the C-Note show every Monday through Friday for the past 2 weeks, and it's been phenomenal. We do a 60-minute show every weekday. That's been awesome. So we talked about the 3 forms of confidence, and I want to get into some stories here. So as we go along, think about how you might grade the stories that I'm about to talk with you about, or how you might grade yourself in these 3 forms of confidence. Okay. So, I mean, if I have, I'll just give myself probably a 3 for a 3. So that's an F for emotional confidence within my story. 1 at the time for spiritual confidence, feeling like I was in total free fall and I had just destroyed, basically, right? Like some of you probably are right this moment. Like a man, Chris, he lives close to San Diego. I just talked to this last week, and this isn't one of the stories I have, but I have to share this. Like he had, like me, had the Hulk problem. That's what I call it, the Hulk problem. No, the Hulk is a part of what happens for me when the nice guy is like, okay, I didn't get my way. She didn't follow through. And Bruce Banner's like fucking holding back the Hulk from coming out. And the bottom of my skull just gets this rush of energy, and I feel this anger. And I've got 3, 2, 1 before I just do the face, and then vomit, diarrhea just comes out of my mouth. That's pretty gross, not literally, but just like horrible spewing of resentment and bullshit and blaming and victim mentality comes out of my mouth. I've got 3, 2, 1 before that happens. And so I definitely I wouldn't give myself a whole lot of emotional or behavioral confidence either. And I was doing nice guy things. I didn't know how to stand up for myself. She was staying out. My ex cheated, and she was staying out till 3 a.m. and telling me, "Oh no, like I told you I was going to be home late." And it's like, actually, you told me you're going to be home at midnight. No, did I say that? No, I don't think so. Blah blah. All this excuse. And it was just the frog being boiled in the water, guys. Right. And 2015 was the worst relationship year of my life. Really great professionally, shit show at home. And I think that's a lot of our story. It's a lot of our story. So give yourself a grade and think about a grade you might give these men. Because if I have a 1, a 3, and a 2, I got an F, 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 and that's fucking not good, right? So think about, well, if I feel pretty good about this, maybe I've got to be in these categories, or maybe spiritually I'm a 10. I know who I am. I know what I want. I know my mission. So in relationship, like one of the men I'm going to talk about here, Jason he's very strong emotionally, and he's very strong spiritually. But behaviorally, he really didn't know at all what to do, right? Jason had no idea that he was falling into nice guy tendencies, giving his wife all of the parental responsibilities, basically all that masculine, pragmatic responsibility, way too much, not even 50-50, not even, he's now having man-to-man talks with his 2 teenage boys in a calm, confident way. It's something I've been teaching him as we do our one-on-one coaching. But he had no idea behaviorally how to ask for what he wanted, how to stand up for himself. And his wife, her pattern was to shame the children and then get in the car and leave and abandon the situation. Okay. Now that's her patterns from childhood. Just like Jean in the clip that we saw earlier, Jean's mother is like, okay, really aggressive. And you saw Shauna or Jean move into that really fast. So we all have our patterns from childhood, but how would Charlie Sheen deal with Shauna if that shit started to come up? Jason had no idea how to talk with his wife about this. Okay? Now she's no longer blowing out and leaving the house. He's able to have man-to-man talks with his 2 teenage sons, one's 17 and one's 19. The sons are taking more responsibility for their life. And Jason's now his wife is allowing him to lead a bit. She wasn't even sitting with him to have coffee. She wouldn't even allow him to choose where they were going to sit for coffee or anything like this within the house. And now she sits anywhere that he likes. She's talking with him about her mystery novels. And so Jason is on just some of the first steps of intimacy here. And that's what we're going to get into here. So here's the staircase of intimacy. He's doing nonverbal things in step 1, which are holding her in high regard, looking at her across the room and bringing back a memory, a positive memory from the past of something that he loves about her, right? And then verbally, he's asking her to sit with her for coffee. And physically, as a small example, if you're on just the first few steps of intimacy here, the physical example is to hold his hand out for her to put her hand into his, or for him to pull the chair out for her to sit down in the chair next to him, for him to hold just the tips of her fingers. And I'd love for Cynthia to jump in here and share what does it feel like when a man goes from not knowing what to do and just sort of this passive, let her do all the parenting, not knowing how to lead, not doing these small stair steps of intimacy. What is that like when he all of a sudden starts to change? Okay, so a lot of the men here, Cynthia, want to start practicing either from the ground floor or it's up and down. She has that watermark of anxiety go up and down, and some days things are great and some days they're not. So what is it like for a man to know his forms of confidence and know how to lead and know how to lead himself and be unattached to the thermometer of her emotions? The thermometer is, Cynthia, have you seen this graphic yet? This is from Tim and Steve developed this. Tim and Steve have a company together, Mojopolis. Yeah. So we want to cut the cord of her mood dictating your mood. If she's not having a good day, if mommy's not, Jason literally said, if mommy's not having a good day, I'm not having a good day, or no one's having a good day. He literally said that to me about a month and a half ago, 6 weeks ago. So Cynthia, what's your take on Jason's story and now knowing how to lead and how that feels for you when a man steps up like that?
So I'm sorry, can you clarify, is it you're looking for when a man first starts and maybe it's been at ground zero, or when his leadership is super powerful?
Oh, that's a really good question. So he maybe has no physical intimacy going on and he wants to start leading up the steps, 1, 2, 3, or it's really up and down and he hasn't really been leading it at all either way. So he hasn't been leading, And now he's going to have more behavioral confidence, which he'll get from Great Men Move Mountains, Good Guys to Great Men, the forums that we have, the support that we have. He's going to get the free audio book today when I share the link here in about 15 minutes. And then at the end, there's a tease for you, right? There's the heart and business. There's the business. No, I'm just joking. So he hasn't really been leading well. He hasn't known how to lead. He hasn't had emotional confidence. And now he's starting to lead. What is that like for a woman when he's starting to change into more leadership?
Yeah. It makes me feel like I want to cry a little bit because it's such a tender thing, because this incredible man is shifting the river of his relationship. And I know from the women that I work with, I know from my own past and history that when the man or partner in my life, he has not been the strong masculine presence, and maybe I've come with my own baggage of I need to be more masculine. A woman does a really good job of protecting that feminine in her that gets hurt or feels left behind or not seen, or that she gets offended because somehow like who she is essentially strikes him as disrespectful or unreasonable. And so all these years of this two people not really understanding that they're driving different cars, she puts up barriers and shields and like almost hardens the skin around her so that she can feel in control, so that she feel like she won't be hurt, and that I'm not going to be taken advantage of again. I'm going to be strong and powerful. And so when you come in and you start tapping on that outer shield and that bubble she's put around herself, it feels super vulnerable. And there's like this like angry response of like, don't come in. I've done all this job building myself up so I'm not affected by this, or that I can feel like I'm in control of this. So that's what you're experiencing. And that doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. Jeff talked about 3 kinds of confidence, and having the confidence and trust in yourself that you are an incredible human being and that you want the best for the people in your lives. You want the best for yourself, and that you have a spiritual why am I doing this? For the relationship space between us, for myself. And that is the guiding force and the barometer, not because you've hit her shit. And it's actually a real gift. Even Jeff has gifted me this of, there are some times that I do have my like, oh, I gotta toughen my skin. And he like taps on it and it's like, no, this is not happening. And every time he does that, there is an invitation into a greater life, a greater awareness, a greater acceptance of myself. That is something I think we as human beings all, no matter how many layers we have, want truly.
Oh, Cynthia, thank you. And by the way, guys, I don't say, oh, this isn't happening. So I'm like, oh my God, I have to ask Cynthia about that. So this relates to, this relates to a question from Mike in the chat. How do you productively stand up for yourself? So that's a beautiful segue. So please give us an example. I mean, you can use a situation from our relationship, which would be vulnerable and awesome to answer that question if you like. So how do you productively stand up for yourself? What is still connecting and repairing and attractive to a woman?
We can all pretend that we can always do this perfectly, and that's never going to happen. But in our best moments, starting with a preface that invites a woman in. Jeff started using the phrase with me, be like, hey, say, and then he'd start saying something. And there was something about that, like, hey, or say, where I almost felt like he was kind of welcoming me into his space. And then, I noticed this was going on, or I experienced, um, Jeff talked about his facial expressions when I'm going really deep, or I'm stressing, or I can't make things make sense to me. I like have this very hard face. Be like, hey, I noticed that I couldn't read your face, and I would really like to know what's going on. And you know, the times when a partner sets a boundary with me and says, this affected me poorly because I need this to be different for our relationship because, and then paints a picture of the positive relationship space he wants to be in with me. That is such a gift because it's bringing me through an emotional range of, hey, we're connected. However, this is going on and this is not healthy for our relationship. And I want this to change because I want to go on adventures with you. I want to walk and hold your hand, and I want us to be able to connect and really communicate with each other. So that invitation is, and that vision is enormous.
Oh, I love it. So, Cynthia, I'm gonna push you into your feminine right now. Okay. I want you to think back to last night. Well, it was 2 nights ago, I believe, when we started to record the audiobook. We've been working on the material for years, and then we were flushing this out with the men on our the C Note show calls this week, and they've been bouncing questions back and forth to us and giving us specific situations. So, Cynthia, I want to push you into that moment when we were about to record, and no bullshit, guys. There was food all over in the kitchen. There was like chicken still on the stove that was cooked that she had, that she made her a meal for herself. There was vegetables all over the counter, and she came to me. Cynthia will love this. No bullshit, in like frumpy ass clothes that she just threw on, and she was like really tense. It looked like she was writing a master's thesis. It looked like she was a doctoral student that just fucking shoved food in her mouth, and she's just got out of the shower and she's like wearing whatever she put on. And we were about to record this sensual kind of intimate audiobook that I'm going to give you guys here today. It's a free audiobook that I'm going to give you. So how did I push in? How did I show presence with you? And what did it feel like? What did I say to move you forward and to move us forward? What plan did I have? What perspective did I bring? How did I present that to you? And how did that feel?
Yeah, that's actually, it's embarrassing that part of me that emerges. I get in this kind of masculine do mode, uh, and then I get really frustrated because I know I'm not being very soft. And
So what did I do?
so I have to remember, because I have to like calm the like
It's okay.
little bit of the embarrassment.
Take your time. There's not 65 people on this call. It's okay.
Oh yeah,
Take
that's
your
fine.
time.
You leaned forward to me, and you did like a preface. So you're like, say, I can't remember exactly what you said because it was an emotional experience for me. But you called out like what you noticed. You said what was like frustrating to you. And then you talked about like, Cynthia, I want to do this experience with you, and here's my vision for it. Like, I want to connect through this. I want to have fun with this. I want you to be in like a sexy, sensual place with me. And then like I kind of like shut down a little bit on that, and you took like a 2-minute break, and I really appreciated that you came back. And because there was this emotional range of being invited in, and then the elephant being called out in the room, and even though you were feeling some frustration with me getting in my own way, and then we came back, and I was like, oh my gosh, there can be this this range of emotion. My partner can even be frustrated. I can even be in a place that is not my most glamorous place, and that I've been doing since I was from 14. I was 14. And there's a place we can restart this energy, we can reset this energy. And to me, that's like the fact that we can reset in relationship, and that the course can be changed so quickly, and how quickly past pains can dissipate when we're doing things in the right way and we're following these kind of steps. I mean, what kind of freedom is that? What kind of hope is that? And what kind of joy is that?
Good. So let me bring you back to us. I love that. So I'm going to give you some feedback that you gave me when we first started dating. Okay. I can feel you right now from here up, right this moment. Okay. So if you breathe and bring yourself into your feminine and think about when we went up. So then we moved to our bedroom and recorded in our bedroom, sitting on our soft bed with the white and black blanket that's all super soft, right? So this is me using sensual words, guys, and you see my inflection is low, my voice is low. Okay, so Cynthia, take us into the bedroom when we recorded. What was that like for you there? How was that different?
That was you were holding incredible space, and you set up the environment, and then you invited me to read, and you kind of just sat back and watched and observed me. And if there were times when I was a little uncertain, you're like, oh, you're doing a good job, and here, let's try to do it this way. So I felt very held and guided, and felt like I could be really, really soft and really in my body.
Good. So she's getting there, right? I'm just being straight with you guys. She'd love this too. So she's at about a 6 right now. She's at about a 6 in her femininity. Okay. And she's not used to these big calls, and that's totally fine. And I know she'd love this as a growth thing. And this, there's already feedback in the chat about how good this is. Okay, this is phenomenal. And so I want you to read the private chat that I just sent you, Cynthia. And and I'll come back to you in like 60 seconds here, because I want to honor some other men that I saw come in. Anwar's been on our show. Good to see you. I saw John is in here as well. John's phenomenal. The guys on our show have a man crush on John. Because his story is so phenomenal. And so in a little while, John, I'd love for you to jump on and share a story with us of how you went from not good to things are going great now, even with tons of kids in the house and then new like babies in the house. Oh my gosh, it's phenomenal. I saw Sohail. If I didn't mention you, Sohail, I saw you come in as well earlier. Let's see who else is here. I saw that came in. I won't be able to mention everyone. Ruben, I haven't seen your name for a while. Awesome. Let's see. Yeah, Tatey said that he can't talk because he's with his daughter right now. I love Tatey's spiritual grounding in life and his understanding of his priorities, right? He's a man that will literally, of course, take a bullet for any man in the community. And I don't go out on a limb to say that. Steve and everyone would agree with me there. And he would lay down in front of a train for his daughter. And he basically metaphorically has. And so I honor Tatey so hugely. Let's see, Paul's still in here. Yeah, phenomenal. Good. So Cynthia, I'm going to come back to you. So we're in the bedroom, right? We've started to record. By the way, your voice is so sexy on the record. I stayed up late listening to your voice late last night and splicing in. And it's so yummy. So I'd love for you to share, bring us into the moment when you're recording and when you're really in your feminine, what that feels like, blossom for the men here. Show us.
It feels like being completely in my body. It feels like getting to pour love into every word I say. It feels like it's okay to rest back into my skin because someone else is there and witnessing that.
Look at this. I'm going to get a shit test later today, guys. It's coming. It's coming. She'll be like, you remember that time on the phone call? Yeah, here we go. What was that you wanted to do? You wanted to back her up tonight? Oh, yeah. I'm going to give you a back rub. Here we go. Like, all right. That was, Cynthia, no joke. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. So that's like an 8.5. That's Cynthia at an 8.5. Look at, I'm just giving her shit. And you're doing phenomenal, sweetheart. You're doing phenomenal. I love it. This is for everyone here. This is for this recording. I'm doing it. Again, we're coaches. Okay. I love Cynthia with all my heart. We're partners together in business. She's my fiance. I bent down on one knee. I brought her to the sculpture garden here nearby where we live, to a place where we had run groups before. So she knew where we were going. And I had called ahead. Well, first of all, I had called her father a week before and asked permission to marry her. And he was like, hello? Yeah, Jeff, why are you calling me? And he's like, oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, good. He said yes. And then I arranged for my folks to be already in the sculpture garden at this, it's basically this circle area with this gorgeous tree that's above us and sculpture of children riding an alligator over here and a big turtle over here. And my mother went above and beyond and hung little lights in the trees because it was Cynthia's birthday that day. It was her, I almost said the year. It was her birthday that day. And I didn't tell anybody else. I just called her father and I planned to propose to her after the birthday festivities were done, basically. So it was dusk. My mom's like, oh, it's for her birthday. And I had asked Cynthia's mom to prepare some words for her birthday and how much she appreciates Cynthia and things like this. And then whatever else that she wanted to do. So I had everyone prepared. And then I didn't let them know. And after it kind of felt like it was dying down, I brought her close and I went down on one knee and I proposed to Cynthia because I want to be with her. She's the only one I want to be with. And so she's maybe not going to give me too bad of a confidence test now later on. Now I did that. But so I love her with all my heart. And this is good for her. It's good for me. It's good for us. And it's good for every man on this call. And so I wanted to lean into that. So Tim, I saw you raise your hand a while ago. It may not be pertinent now. Do you want to nod your head if you want to come in, Tim? Yeah. Okay, sweet. Yeah. Break the sexual tension, Tim. Come on in.
First of all, that was awesome. Thank you, both of you, Cynthia, Jeff. That was great. Really, this whole thing of watching you guys interact has been just brilliant. And seeing the energy shift back and forth and all that. And what I wanted to say was that I've noticed, and I used to be in a part of a coaching community that had really, really strong, successful women in it. I mean, we're talking multi-million-dollar coaching business, women, right? And there became a conversation within that community about being in what my friend Beth says, man mode. And feeling that she had to be in man mode to be successful and in man mode to survive in that atmosphere and all that. And she hated it. And because it's probably why I'm single at, and she was mid 40s and, and all of this. And so we talked a lot about it. And one of the things that I noticed was, nature abhors a vacuum, right? So if the man is shrinking and there's a space to be filled, it gets filled. It doesn't stay open. And the woman will step forward a lot of times into that as a way of protecting herself, as a way of just, the vacuum has to get filled. And I always joke that it's like she starts growing hair on her chest and all of that. And,
wait, they're not supposed to do that? Oh, shit, okay.
And she's not happy. She's like looking in the mirror going, you did this to me. You did, no. Like, I don't want this. And it made me really think a lot about men filling up their space in the world. That men actually fully filling their space is what part of masculinity is about. And that when you shrink, which I did a lot, I did that. not only are you becoming like the little boy and all that, but you're literally almost physically smaller. I mean, it's not true, but the metaphor is so strong for me, this idea of taking up space in the world or not. And it's so, and I think of it more like, does anyone scuba dive? It's like the mixture of gases in your scuba tank, to nitrogen, oxygen, carbon, and they shift. You have to adjust them as you go down and up and all that. So it's not like a scale. It's more like this mixture of feminine and masculine. And it's not the same for everyone. It's not this 50-50 scale that I used to think it was. And therefore, I was watching you guys and how it's flowing, right? It's it's okay for it to flow as long as both of you are resting comfortably in the space that is most effective for you, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love for Cynthia to jump in too, because we thrive on that flow, on the I move the ball forward and then she moves the ball forward in a different way. And then I move the ball forward and then she moves the ball forward. So Cynthia, please respond to Tim. How do you feel that you and I flow, since to maybe conclude our to conclude that back and forth that we had, please?
Well, thank you for Tim for bringing that up, and thank you for your observations. And I absolutely feel that with Jeff, and it kind of, I mean, how fun in relationship that we're not just always in a stagnant place. And so, there are times when, you know, there, Jeff is way under the polarity of masculinity. And then there are other times where I feel like I can kind of move into some more of that. And I appreciate the range in Jeff very much. I love the energy of, going on a walk or having a conversation about business, and then how that energy shifts at night, like going up to the bedroom. It's really fun to practice, and it's like strengthening a muscle. And I think it serves a purpose. Absolutely.
Beautiful. Cynthia, I want to ask you about the question that you, excuse me, told was asked of you in private chat there. And that if you want to bring that up and be ready for that. I'm 8 minutes past when I said I was going to share the link. We are going to go for another 20 or 30 minutes here until 12:30 Mountain Time. So let me share the link to number one, Good Guys to Great Men contact form. If you want to contact any of us coaches, at Steve, Dan, and myself and the other coaches. So the information in the contact form only comes to us, and we never charge for the first console call. Okay. I'm going to share a tip with you, right? If you take the time to put your heart in putting your information and your question and, spill your guts to us in that contact form, we will get back with you and set up a free console call. Whether it's Tasty in Copenhagen or Mark in Australia or Neil in Sweden or myself here in Colorado or Dennis in Kansas, in St. Louis, right? St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, right? Right, Dennis? You're going to jump on here in a second and tell me that that's right or wrong. I think it's Kansas City. Please, I'm going to put the link for that in the chat right now. It's good guys to the number 2 greatmen.com/apply-now, or you can just go to goodguys2greatmen.com and go to contact. And of course, Steve has 6-ish years of videos and articles and phenomenal stuff. Phenomenal stuff. And I'm going to give you the link to our my and Cynthia's free audiobook right now in the chat, which is greatmenmovemountains.com/free audiobook. You go there, you put in your email and your, name, just like always. And of course we never spam, that kind of thing. And you're going to have immediate access to listen to it. It literally takes like 5 seconds. I clicked, I've been testing in different computers. In 5 seconds, you can listen to it or you can download it, right? That's a Google Drive link right to the audiobook. And I'm super proud of it. So again, goodguys2greatmen.com or my website, greatmenmovemountains.com/free audiobook. And I want to come back to Cynthia and for her to ask the question from the chat. Please, Cynthia.
Sure. Well, actually, there were a couple questions. One was, that really real wondering of, okay, how do I increase affection and intimacy when she sits in the other room all day and avoids me? And I, offer like, hey, let's watch a movie together. Let's do this. And she out refuses me. And there was another question that was similar that says, she won't be intimate with me. And I mean, she doesn't mean that it won't be forever, but right now she just won't be intimate with me. And it makes me think of that staircase picture, Jeff, that you showed, where it's steps 1, 2, and 3. And when you're on step 0, it can feel like you're wanting to get to step 10, but the process is like climbing Everest, and there's no guides there telling you what you need. You don't have the right gear. You don't have the oxygen tank. What if I get up and try something at level 4 and she refuses me? Am I going to totally collapse and be so taken aback by her refusal? The way to begin this is that first step of non-verbal intimacy, that practice of seeing her in high regard, of holding a picture in your mind of a really wonderful memory that you've had with her, of thinking of her in a positive way for a moment in time as you look at her, and then like move on with the rest of your day. And Jeff talks a lot, and Jeff does this too. Like he dances among these steps regularly.
I do.
Every
lot.
day.
You said I talk. I do talk a lot too. No, I'm just joking. So I'm sorry. I had to make a joke. So you were saying I dance on the staircase every day?
Yeah. So, and it's really important that we can't be jumping up to a level 3 of wanting physical intimacy without spending a time on those first 2 steps. And almost, I like what you say, Jeff, about being a scientist and practicing something on those steps for 20 times and then seeing where you are from that.
Beautiful. You guys are like, all right, this has been really good. This is great. Let's get into some more tools. So quickly, I had asked you to grade yourself or grade the men that I'm going to share with you here really fast. Kent is on the call. He shared this on the C-Note show. I won't share anything that the guys wouldn't be comfortable with me sharing, that they haven't already shared, or I've changed the name so that they're, I'm obviously not going to share any more than I do here, right? So Kent, night sky tendencies, right? He abdicated responsibility and really gave her a ton, including paying all the bills, right, Kent? And, they were equals. It's sort of bros and buddies in a lot of the relationship, and that killed the passion between them. And Kent, as the man that he is now, is growing and understanding what he wants, because he's not appreciating the way she's showing up right now either, right? Yeah, thank you, Cynthia in the chat. Phenomenal. So Patrick, 2 weeks ago, Patrick was really angry and resentful of what was going on, which totally makes sense. And he's been a regular on the C-Note show for 2 weeks now. And if you would listen to him, or if you had heard him, because we had private conversations after the call, 2 weeks ago compared to now, he knows what he wants to say. He knows how he wants to lead. He knows that he's not going to just come at her firing away. And Patrick has said this on the call, he's like, I just want to, he's giving a thumbs up. No, from New Zealand. I'd high five you right now if I could. I guess I'd have to have a mask on and air 5 from 6 feet away. But Patrick, he was saying, I'm just going to have her come and tell her, I want no bullshit conversation. She's like, tell me the truth. No bullshit. Like, what's this about? Basically. And like, okay, all right. Like, all right, we got some work to do here. Okay. Yeah. So which is totally cool. And 2 weeks, last Friday was 2 weeks of him being on the show. He's like centered in himself. He's calm. His voice is down. He knows that he can't control the past. And even though he has sadness about that, and he has, bewilderment and how she could leave and sort of abandon the household and leave the children and the grandchildren, if you will, and sort of break up the family like this. He's accepting what he needs to do to have behavioral, emotional, and spiritual confidence with her, so he can start dancing up the staircase again. Yeah, right, Patrick? Yeah, super cool. I love it. So real quick, Ian, I believe, yeah, I saw Ian on this call too. Ian, at her request, opened up his marriage. I'll just put a period there. And Andy admitted that they both cheated in the relationship, and now he's co-parents with his ex, and there's lots of trust issues between the two of them, actually more of her trusting him, and he's realizing now, and he's on the call too, so if you guys want to raise your hand and jump in, I would completely love it. Ian, Andy, anyone that I'm going to chat about, Kent, Patrick, I believe you guys are all on the call. I love you guys, our regulars, which, by the way, we're going to send you a Great Men Move Mountains mug. And I told Patrick he's going to get the first one in the entire world. I'm going to send it to him from around the world. So cool. We already researched that, Patrick. And now Andy, he's cut the thermometer. So I put the graphic right here. He's cut the thermometer and realizes that however she's feeling in the day, in that particular day, doesn't have to influence immediately how he feels. He doesn't judge himself by her mirroring of how she's feeling in that moment. So Cynthia, I see you unmuted. Did you want to add something to this so far, please?
Oh, that I didn't realize it was unmuted.
Okay. Well, hey, anytime you want to unmute yourself, like just jump in. Like, hey,
I'll only add that I recognize that when I'm speaking, I'm feeling in very intently, and Jeff has regularly private chatted with me and said, please smile. And I got recently, for the love of God, smile. So
yeah. Yep. That was my little business post. For the love of God, show them your gorgeous smile, please. Yeah, good. Oh, now I'm a little embarrassed for airing that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Nice. Yeah, exactly. They want to see your beautiful face. Absolutely. Yeah. Here we go. I'm going to go back. And again, jump in anytime you want, Cynthia. Totally cool. Well, guys ask me, well, what about success stories, or what about affairs, or what about they've split up and then come back together? Absolutely, Or what about we're split up right now? So right now, Brett is split up. They're separated. They're quarantined in different places. And on the show, he asked, "Can I reconnect and grow trust with her just over texting?" And my answer, my Jeff Allen answer was, "Well, no. But here's what you can do." So I like the polarizing answer. Like, you're not going to grow intimacy, the deep trust of intimacy over text. So the words we say are only 7% of communication. Our vocal tonality, our body language is the other 93%. So that's a real hard and fast answer. But what that did is it allowed Brett to realize what he can grow with her. And what he can grow with her right now is they've got a kind of a cool, great friendship going on. And she's still having her mail come to his house. She doesn't have to do that. She could have switched her mail a long time ago. So I recommend Brett, keep going with what's going on. And when quarantine ends, then he has the opportunity to meet her in person, to grow trust, and to take the next step together. Or if it's not going to move forward, to stand up for himself and ask her to please have her mail switched. Okay? Because he doesn't want this limbo land situation with her. He either wants hell yes or hell no, right? Mark Manson, you want hell yes or hell no. You don't want maybe. You don't want maybe in the middle there. Brandon, there was an affair in the past. He and I are working one-on-one together. It's been about 6 or 7 months now. There's tons of stress, work stress, kids, and then he found out about her affair. Okay? And with coaching, and I don't have time to go super detail, but their relationship is better than ever. And the way he's done this is to recenter his emotional confidence, confirm his behavioral confidence, and practice emotionally if he's escalated or triggered or has those thoughts of the affair happen, that he takes a break for himself. He processes with one of the tools that I use. It's called the boardroom. And the feeling that he has of like thinking about the other man and thinking about the situation, he calls Slimer, from Ghostbusters. So when Slimer's in his head, right, he goes to the boardroom, walks in, and asks Slimer, this persona within him, that's the way we process it, asks Slimer, what would you like me to know about this, Slimer? Okay. And he gives Slimer 10 seconds to talk. And then he turns to the mountain lion, as Steve Forsman and we say in Good Guys to Great Men, the mountain lion, who's the calm, strong, compassionate, grounded, understanding, empathetic, mature man that he wants to be, that ideal, that persona. Maybe for you, it's, like James Bond, but honestly, James Bond doesn't feel as connected in a relationship. So, you have your maybe famous person or your fictional character. One of our clients and one of the men who's in our forum, his mountain lion is Gene Simmons. It's like, I may not be the best looking guy, but I'm going home with your girlfriend. That's Roger's mountain lion. So you got Slimer over here, and you got mountain lion over here, and you end with mountain lion, and you ask him, what would you like me to know about this? And he's going to give his feedback, right? What would he say? What would mountain lion man say? Like, yeah, that was shitty, and we want to have our family together. You've learned how to be the man you want to be. You understand how to call her out in her femininity. You know how to uphold your boundaries in a healthy way. And Brandon, that if she does this again, that you're prepared immediately to move on and no longer be with her. And she knows that that's a non-negotiable boundary of yours. So the book, Hold On to Your Nuts by Wayne Levine, talks about non-negotiable, unalterable terms. Hold on to your nuts, N-U-T-S. And so for Brandon, right, something that happens like that again, he knows that would irrevocably end the relationship and he'd move forward. Now I can vulnerably say that when I got married and then later on when my ex cheated, I didn't have that boundary right then. And I basically collapsed into myself or exploded. And that's something that I look back on and I know that I didn't handle it well. That's my responsibility. And now I can see the trajectory of my life since then. Okay. I've met every amazing man that I've talked about today. I lead these groups. I've developed my own business. I was in the school system. I made not a lot of money working in the school system and wanted to meld my business skills with my talents and started my own private practice. And I met Cynthia Cruz, this amazing, beautiful, connected, passionate woman, this deep woman who told me, yeah, I can feel you from here up, but I'm not really feeling you in the genital region. I'm not really feeling you from here. Fuck, this woman is going to call me out on my shit. I love it. That was like the second date, Cynthia. What date was that when you said, I feel you from here? We were sitting at Whole Foods, but we were eating a salad from Whole Foods, but I don't feel you down here. When was that?
Well, thank you that was very honoring. I really appreciate you finding that valuable. I think it was probably a second date. However, I had known and worked with you for quite a while before that. So had a relationship and connection with you prior. So
awesome. Yeah. Second date, this woman gives me the feedback, right? I can feel you here, but not here. Whew, man. All right. So it's like, how did I respond? Did I get defensive? Did I do the fucking, well, blah, blah, blah face? No, I didn't do that. Right. I breathed and I brought my energy down into my belly. I pushed my belly out as I breathed deeply. Right. I felt from my lower body. I felt my energy from my legs and from my feet touching the ground. And that's how I brought myself into the present moment. Right? And that's some work that I've done to be able to do that quickly. And I think that was definitely a test in some capacity from her. Absolutely. And I guess I passed. It's, we're engaged, so that's good.
You passed. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I enjoy being with you in all ways. I really enjoy your cock.
My goodness.
Well,
look at that. Moving on from there. So yes, let's see. Thank you. That was fantastic. I appreciate it. I don't know what to say right now. So here's my last example, and we'll get more into the tools. I'll give you the links again. So a big point of this, guys, is our audiobook is 45 minutes long of explaining specifically how to dance up the stairs of intimacy, of how to uphold boundaries, of how to set dates with her, of how to escalate physically to sex. And I'm not asking anything for it. You exchange your email, you get the free audio. If you don't ever want me to send anything to you, that's totally fine. This is the way that we combine heart and business. So my last quick story is Eric. So Eric is basically graduated. He just finished his last session with me. We've been together for about 5-6 months. And Eric came to me when he was separated from his wife. They had a 3-year-old daughter, and she started seeing another man immediately. So in Good Guys to Great Men, we talk about the 2-year time bomb. And so she'd been basically already thinking about ending the relationship for 1 or 2 years. And now he admitted he really was not a good father in the first 3 years of their daughter's life. It really brought a lot of his own stuff, his own family patterns, his own triggers. And so he admitted it on the forums, and he's told me, and he'd be fine with me saying this because he said this publicly before, that he dove into cars and he made himself busier and busier on the weekend and busier at work, basically neglecting her. He's learned behaviorally what to do. He understands his own self. And she got pregnant from this other man before he called me. Okay. So, oh my God. So he called me, separated, not for that long, admitting that he wasn't proud of the man that he was when he was raising his daughter. And now his separated wife is pregnant with another man. Oh my God. It's gut wrenching, right? The first thing I recommended is he get the book, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, which talks about how do I make sense of tragedy in the world? How can I have perspective on something that's just gut-wrenchingly horrific? And that's the audiobook. The first half of it's only about 2.5 hours long, 3 hours long, where Viktor Frankl talks about his story in the concentration camps and how he moved forward from that in a healthy way, even through that catastrophe. So I connected with Eric one-on-one, like we do with any leads through Good Guys to Great Men, and gave him my presence and showed him, my brotherly love, let's say, and to tell him like, wow, I am so sorry you have to be in this situation, man. That's fucking gut wrenching. I'm here for you. I can understand. And if you're ready, I'll light the torch and follow you and show you the way. And you follow me through this darkness right now. And then when you're ready, you'll climb that mountain yourself. And that's what he's done. Now he's dating other women. So this is 4 months later. This is 4 or 5 months ago. So this is 4 months later now. Co-parenting is going great. He's upholding boundaries with her, even though she's coming back and what he dubbed her spider-like behavior, where she spins a web of like, hey, oh, I really want to be friends with you and I want to connect with you and I actually still love you. And, oh, but I'm not going to stop seeing this other man and I'm not going to escalate. I'm not going to talk about our relationship, but I really want to be friends with you. And and when he would move forward, she would move back. And it's like he'd get stuck in that spider web and it would really just, of course, gut him, right? It's like eviscerate him that she's doing this back and forth. And so he realized, I don't want to be the fly that gets caught in the web. That's not the man that I want to be. I need boundaries here. I need to stop stepping forward so much when she opens up herself in her femininity to me, right? So I want so badly to be connected to her feminine that I'm getting myself caught in the spider web. And he met 10 women in 1 month. He dated 3 in person prior to everything that's happening in the world right now in quarantine. And he's met 7 over the rest of that month online. He's had, the car next to each other dates. He's had the go to the park and sit 6 feet apart dates. I mean, he's really working it. It's phenomenal. I asked him to post in our private Great Men Move Mountains Facebook group his story and basically tips on online dating. So he posted this multi-paragraph thing, and then at the end said, any questions, reach out to me. Right. So like I said at the beginning of this call, this all circles back. Okay. Steve and Tim and Dan and all the coaches and I, this is a community that we're building a tribe together. Yes, we all have our businesses and yes, we want to be successful and we need to pay our bills and we want to take our kids on trips and we want to provide for our children. My son I bought him all the gear and got him into baseball this year. He's a sophomore now. And then, whoops, no baseball season. So we want to have the opportunity to buy those things. So business is important, but this is about heart. So it's heart and business, heart and business. Yeah. You can date shelter in place, Dennis says. So yeah, Dennis, that's going to be I know you're going to do a call on sheltering. We're going to call sheltering in place in the dungeon. The playroom. The playroom. That's what I meant to say, Dennis. Okay, so we've got nonverbal, verbal, and physical. And again, I explain all of this in the audiobook, Cynthia and I do in detail. So nonverbal, like you're looking at her with high regard, holding vision in your head of favorite memories. And hold that in your mind for 5 or 10 seconds. Okay, think about the voice and the tonality that I modeled when I was speaking with Cynthia. And I just brought my voice down right there. So verbal, you're going to practice a preface and a sentence starter. And these are great ones. These are great. Okay, so you don't just spring it on her and surprise her like, oh, hey, last night when we had that argument. No, that's not what we want to do. We want to notice something about her. Women want to be seen and heard and understood. So let's lead with connecting words and connecting sentences. Sentence starters like this. Like say, I was running outside today and right now I'm looking outside at the trees that are starting to bloom and bud. I was looking at the beautiful green grass and it's just so amazing. It feels so fresh outside. And I was thinking about what we talked about last week. And, it feels like, and then you're going to ask a question of her. It feels like you're really upset the way that went. And I'd like to know more about that. Please tell me more about that. And then shut up. So I had high regard in my mind. I used sensual words. I talked about nature and the grass and the green grass and the beautiful outside. So I brought in some sensual words. And then I'm asking her to share with me her experience with some of these sentence starters. Okay? I would love to know more about how that hits you. I'd love to know more about that because I want us to have a connected relationship, because I want us to have passion together, because I want us to have a great future with our family together. So as the man, you're bringing it back to the vision. You're rising, you're holding up the third entity of the relationship and the vision of the relationship. There's you, there's her, and the relationship. And part of your job is to energetically lead in the relationship by breathing vision. Sven Masterson on the forums, which is his pen name, talked to me at the Phoenix retreat that he came to, that Dennis and I ran, about that's a prayer. That's what a prayer can be. That's what a blessing can be, is breathing vision into that person and into the relationship, right? I'm not religious, but I am spiritual in that way. And I love what Sven said of using something like this. Like, I would love for us to take steps together and hold hands and walk along the lake 10 years from now, 20 years from now. That's what I have in my mind. I would love to see that. So please share with me. It seemed like that really upset you last week. Tell me more about that. Beautiful. So here, how to recover after an argument, or what if one of you is like exploded or shut down or neglected the other person, or kind of had a shit show day. We've got a tool in the accompaniments for the audiobook. So when you fill out your email and your name and you click submit, it's going to take you to another page that has the audiobook download and then an accompaniment right underneath that. But one of them is what I call, and I created this basically, it's a mashup of all of my skills in this area about how to repair after a fight. And I literally used this 2.5 weeks ago-ish. And I shared that story on our C-Note show as well. I've shared that a couple times. I call it the Don't Be a Tool. And it's in our audiobook accompaniment. Cynthia, do you have the few bullets that are within that accompaniment? I'd love for you to share, please.
There's going to be a graphic that outlines exactly the first three stairs of intimacy and what you can do poignantly at each of those steps. There's also a list of words that you can use in your conversations that invite sensuality, that invite escalation, just because you're inviting the feminine out in her. And there's also a tracker that has 20 times that you can take one piece of whatever stair you are on and practice it 20 times. Because like the tides of water, like when we were little, we used to go out in those small pools in the backyard, and you and your friends would walk around in one way and the water would start moving around the other way. When we turn and face and try to go in the opposite direction, it feels so difficult. But we know if we keep moving forward and keep stepping forward, the water starts to shift. So it's a container for you to take the things that may seem difficult, because that feminine in your life is not accepting them fully, and make sure you practice them 20 times before you say, that's not going to work, or this relationship's not going to work, or there's no way I could possibly change this.
Thank you so much. I love it. Cynthia has been a linchpin in the growth of our now business together and my growth online with the men as well. I would not be able to do all of this without her. She put together the accompaniment. We collaborate, and then she's put together the graphics, designed the whole thing. She puts together the graphics that we have on our private Facebook page, the Great Men Move Mountains private Facebook page, which, by the way, you can ask to be invited into. You go to greatmenmovemountains.com/C note, the letter C and then the word note. And that is representative of the C note show. So greatmenmovemountains.com/C note. John Ensel, he says he's got to go. Love you, man. That's awesome. So we'll catch your story another time. He's on our C note show a ton, so please jump in there. And let me wrap up the tool. And then I'd love for anyone to raise their hand in the Zoom chat. I would love for you to come on, ask a question, or share your perspective here. Oh, Cynthia, I'd love for you to take this away physically. Here's dancing up and down the first 3 steps of emotional connection with her and physical connection with her. Cynthia, if you could share with us about that. And here's her anxiety watermark, right? So we put this together just for you guys today. So Cynthia, please share with us about the physical touch, physical escalation, dancing up and down the stairs, and how he needs us to be emotionally connected with her, at least to the level of where we're hoping to physically escalate. So talk with us about physical escalation, please.
Yes. So physical escalation, it's one of those wonderful things that there's so much range between the actual being in the bedroom. I absolutely love and feel seen by Jeff when he walks by and just strokes my hair, or he takes the tip of my fingers and holds them gently. And that really builds a sense of trust and connection in me, that then when we are being like more physical and higher up on the staircase, it's much easier to follow his lead. So Jeff, you showed 2 staircases, and red could be the physical and blue could be the emotional. And this is something you have invited is okay, Jeff. I have often felt as a woman very off-put, unsure of myself, and insecure, if not sometimes angry, if a man was trying to, engage with me in a sexual manner. And I really wanted to be physical, but I felt like there was not the emotional connection that supported that. So there's always calibrating. If you want the physical connection to intensify and to escalate, the emotional connection needs to be right under that. And it really needs to be the emotional connection that she is saying is there, being a really emotional creature, and not so much what you perceive might be there. Because we both drive, men and women drive very different cars. It means different things to each of us.
So Cynthia, if she's, on her laptop, there's a question from the chat. If she's on her laptop and completely disinterested in connecting and declines to connect, the concern is that she'll get more and more comfortable with the distance. So what if she doesn't really want to connect right now? What's the best way forward for a man in considering his own self, her, so him, her, and then the relationship? right? What do you recommend to men when you do professional coaching with them if she's not wanting to connect right now?
Yeah, and so it's not about, how can I please her? How can I make her engage? It's not even about the staying in that, like, oh my God, this is so painful place, because it is, like, for all of us, when we feel rejected, it is heartbreaking. It is a time for you as a man to really start to claim, what are you wanting in relationship? What is important to you? What is your purpose and your vision? And when you have clarity on that, your energy is a place where you can now, and I've said this to a client, are you clear? Are you clear? Okay, you're clear now. Now is a time to go sit down with this person that you love and have a conversation with them and say, hey, I noticed that you don't seem to want to connect with me at all. You don't seem to want any physical intimacy. I'd like to understand more about that, because my vision, my desire for a relationship and a relationship with you is that it does include reverence for each other and small touches and whispering in your ear. And then, of course, being together physically in the most wonderful of ways.
Oh, beautiful. That segues into a question. So up here we have, you just answered, well, I was in nice guy tendencies and now I'm finding my value and what I could do or be for her. I'm aware now of the damage this has done. How do I do that? How do I start understanding intimacy and how to start over? So we've been sharing that and you just answered that question. Where I struggle is how or why to unconditionally love her when she continues her avoiding and runaway behavior. It's what you're talking about right now. I know. It's unconditional love. That's the name. Basically, why would I continue to unconditionally love her when she clearly exhibits none of that love for me? Why waste the energy? What I change it to is love is a verb. So why would I as a man continue to do the acts of love with her when she clearly exhibits none of that love for me or doesn't do those acts for me? Why waste that energy on someone who is rejecting me? If your coach is still on here, raise your hand or just go ahead and unmute yourself and jump in. I'd love for Cynthia to start of why would I bother basically to continue to do acts of love with her? Isn't that wasting my time to keep being loving for her and compassionate with her? Isn't that wasting my energy?
I can certainly resonate with it. Would feel that way for sure. And I do say that I think when we try to unconditionally love someone without really recognizing some of the issues that are going on, we're almost trying to jump over everything, and that can just build more resentment. So why would we still do loving acts towards someone? It's a personal practice. You are dropping water droplets into a bucket of a vision that you have for a relationship. And it may seem like when you're first dropping 3 droplets, 10 droplets, 50 droplets, you look at the bottom of the bucket and it's like, what's the point? This isn't going to go anywhere. Water does end up building up. And when we are practicing loving people for the things that are really painful or we might judge, the nature of relationship is we are often attracted in a partnership where they're kind of going to mirror back to us some of the things that we are judgmental about in ourselves. And because if it wasn't kind of hitting on that level, it wouldn't be such a pain and such a sting to us. So this is really an invitation to hold the relationship space as different than the other person and really know that we are forgiving and working through judgment of ourselves at the same time.
Yeah, holding that space for the relationship and holding space for them working through their stuff and us understanding that about ourselves as well. I love that. Yeah, and what am I modeling for the world? What am I modeling for my children? When I when I withhold, if I really want to appreciate someone, and then I think, fuck her, that doesn't bring me into a good space, right? It's not going to help you be a co-parent with her. It's not going to help you potentially be a friend with her, friendship with her. You don't have to be friends with her if that's not what you want right now. I love how Tim talks about this too. So if you'd love to jump in, Tim, we don't have to be friends, but you do want to show that and feel that that's the kind of man you are in the world, regardless of the difficulties of what you're facing. Yes, we're all going to have bad days, but why not be that man? So Tim, why waste my time, right? Back to the question. Why waste my time? She's obviously not doing this for me, so fuck her, right? Be blah, 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 blah. Fuck her. Why even try?
Yes, blah, blah. Well, first of all, the question kind of assumes a transactional kind of relationship, so that it's like, I do this and then I get this in return. And it's easy to feel like that, right? That's a very human feeling. But what you were just saying about, okay, however, there's really only two places that you can be within, and one is fear and one is love. That's it. Everything falls into one of those two categories. You're either acting out of love or you're acting out of fear.
I have to interrupt you for half a second. Tatey is like high five. So Tatey is the man that's about love and bringing love into the world. Yeah, thank you, Tim. Yeah, go for it.
So I, as a man, want to come from love no matter what. Now, I don't always, obviously, I'm human, but that's my intention. That's what I set for myself. And love doesn't, has a lot of qualities that are so amazing, and none of them have to do with, when do I get mine? Right? That's not what love says. Love just says, I'm going to love anyway. Now, that doesn't mean you get abused or run over or anything like that. But it's like, I'm going to be a loving person in the world, like you said. That's who I'm going to be. And if you're not going to stay in a relationship where you're not getting anything, you're not being loved, but to decide to not act lovingly is different. Does that make sense?
Be loved or act in a loving way is different.
Yeah. And look, when I was getting divorced, there were things that were really painful and difficult and all of that. And I just decided I'm going to still show up in a loving way. I'm just going to. First of all, I wanted to model that for my daughters, that's the way I'm going to treat my soon-to-be ex and then my ex with respect and in a loving way. Now, sometimes that meant, that didn't mean I was over there giving her flowers or anything. It just meant our interactions were going to be as kind as possible and not worry about what I'm not getting. I fill myself up, first, right? So that's worked really well, because now I can look back 5 years and go, I'm really, really happy that I showed up that way. I'm proud of it. My daughters, I'm proud that they saw that's what we did 99% of the time. Yeah, there was that 1% when we got into it. But then we also did what, you call it the don't be a tool. We had our own version of that. We still do.
Nice.
Yeah. And we do that and say, hey, remember last night we were screaming on the phone at each other? That's not the way I want to show up. And I don't want to treat you like that. So I apologize. We would do that. Like I said, I'm a better husband now than I was when I was married.
Right. A happily divorced man, right? You can be a happily divorced man while you're still married.
Yes.
Or you can choose to be it afterwards, right?
So that's my answer, is that it does well for you. Like you said, it doesn't put you in a good space to act out of fear and resentment and all that. It's like, it's not worth it. Life's too short to walk around resenting other people and being angry all the time. So
yeah, I totally agree. Life's and right now with what's happening in the world, it's putting that right in our face that life's too short. And maybe there's another question. I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up here in like 2 minutes here, guys. We won't have time for another question today, but you can certainly catch us on the forums and everything I've mentioned. Tim, what's being presented to us is either a more difficult situation, if you will, being sort of forced to be around this person when we could have just maybe bailed, or she could have bailed in the past. Also, and then understanding and having appreciation for our family and our health in the moment has never been more on the forefront.
Right, right, exactly. And I'm sheltering in place with my ex and my children.
Are you? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've been
Look
doing
at you.
that for a month now.
No shit. How's that going?
I'm at her house. It's going great. I mean, we are doing things with our kids that we haven't done for years. We went out in the park and flew kites the other day as a family, and we had a picnic. And we're being extremely loving and kind. Again, we're just practicing that more and more. And and then I'm not at all living in the what does this mean? What's going to happen? Space. I'm really just taking it one day at a time. And practicing loving, practicing being of service to my kids and to my ex, actually. So, I clean the kitchen, I do whatever needs to be done. And, told her the other night, she goes, I was going to do the dishes. And I said, you work too hard. So I did them. And she went, wow, okay.
Yeah, and you didn't do that, for brownie points. You didn't do that because you're expecting sex afterwards or anything like that. You did that because that's the man you are.
We're sleeping in different bedrooms. We're not playing house, but we're sheltering together right now in a very unusual time. And I'm glad we're doing it. I really am. I'm learning a lot.
So great. Awesome. I'm going to wrap us up, Tim, so I'm going to go ahead and meet you. Thank you. You just answered Paul's question in the chat. Like, can we shelter in place and make this work? You just knocked that out of the park. Paul gave you this, I guess I lobbed it up for you and you knocked it out of the park. Paul's question. That was phenomenal. So I'll have Cynthia give some last words here in a moment. I want to say one more time, for our free audiobook, go to greatmenmovemountains.com/free audiobook altogether. greatmenmovemountains.com/free audiobook. And make sure when you put in your information and you go to the next page, you get the audiobook, you click for that, and you also click for the free accompaniment with the Don't Be a Tool and example sensual words and graphics and more details on to use with the audiobook as well. So grab both of those and they should come in 5 seconds. That was something that's really important to me, is I don't want to wait. I want you to wait to get it. Right? So you should have it immediately. You can immediately listen or read or download them for later. Okay. Would love that. So Cynthia, please. Oh, and I of course, I want to honor Steve Horseman and Dan Dorr for promoting me and for promoting the other coaches through other weekends. And we're going to be doing this ongoing. So I'll be on, I believe, once a month doing these on a Sunday, and the other coaches will rotate as well. So thank you to them and Steve for Good Guys to Great Men and all the opportunity. And again, go to goodguys2greatmen.com for all the awesome stuff in our community. Cynthia, please, what is this experience? What has this experience today been like for you, and the emotional range that we've had during this 1 hour and 55 minutes at this point, please?
It's been an emotional range that I'm very, very grateful for. I appreciate that you as a partner invite me into a more feminine space. And, I've done a lot of personal work through the years, and the times that I have felt like things fully transformed and fully changed in my life is when incredible men in their grounded masculine energy held up a mirror to me about how important that feminine in me was and how needed and how valued it was. And I even actually worked with a sex therapist because I was so hungry to understand, you mean I don't have to be masculine in this world? I can be myself and rest into myself. So I wanted to offer that you are also allowed to rest into yourself. And if there are people, men and women in your lives who are holding up a mirror to how incredible your energy is and how valued it is, take that as truth, because everything else is just a facade.
Oh my gosh. Everything else is just a facade. It's just a story. It's just the current experience. It's our current belief of our experience, right? We can flip it on its head. I love that. So I'll take us away with some copy from Steve's contact page where you can contact us one-on-one, and I modified it a little bit. So some copy from our website, greatmenmovemountains.com and goodguys2greatmen.com. We work with men who are ready for change and willing to get serious about it. If you're tired of settling for good enough and want to create the type of life and loving relationship you deserve, then connect with us. Our coaching programs are intensely powerful and personal and can bring the type of change to your life that most men only dream about. Phenomenal, guys. I was drinking from this Great Men Move Mountains glass that Dennis Collins printed up for us and gave to us at a retreat last year. So we will see you guys at a retreat on the forums, one-on-one, on the phone, or on the C-Note show every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Mountain. Contact us to get more information. Love you guys. Have a great rest of your weekend.
Bye.
About a woman whose heart is sunshine, whose body burn hot. I'ma tell you about a woman who's cold as tundra, with some frozen eyes. I can tell by the way she moves that she cares and it's lovely.